This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. More at the end of the video. This video also contains spoilers for Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Ghost star, wonder where you are. Now I start to wonder why. Show me your light, I've waited all night. Ghost star, won't you sing with me?
Hey kid. Cal.
At the close of Jedi Fallen Order, Cal Kestis made a difficult decision. Faced with a future where the Force sensitives of the galaxy, revealed via the holocron sealed in Eno Cordova's vault, would be found and slaughtered by the Empire, Cal chose to destroy the holocron. It may have seemed counterproductive to everything Cal and his friends fought for in Fallen Order, but if anything was revealed by their journey, it's that a galaxy ruled by the Empire is not a galaxy anyone can call home. Wherever Cal would go next, he would go there devoted to setting the galaxy free of its darkness, and he wouldn't be without his friends. As his old master Jaro Tapal once said, persistence reveals the path. But 5 years later, that hasn't exactly been the case. The dark times have only gotten darker. The mechanical grip of the Empire squeezes the galaxy like never before, and hope for the Jedi's return is more distant than ever. Whatever trace of the Jedi Order or Republic Cal knew from his childhood is gone now, replaced by stormtroopers, disloyal senators, and propaganda. If Cal made the wrong decision, it's too late to go back on it now. He can only live with the consequences and find some way to move forward, even if it hurts.
Before I deliver you to the Emperor, you will lead me to the remaining Jedi.
I can't. It's just me.
But that's not to say Cal has given up. Though the Empire took his master, his order, and his home, they haven't taken his friends. And they haven't taken his fight. This isn't the timid boy you met in Fallen Order. Cal Kestis is a Jedi survivor, and it's written all over his face. The tough calls he's had to make since the holocron have surely been plenty, but time and time again, Cal has chosen to fight, to be a master over his failures, and trust in the guidance of his mentors. In gameplay, Cal is every bit, if not more powerful, as when you last played him. His all-in-one saber technique has evolved into multiple specialized saber stances, conducive to different combat scenarios and opponents. Force Slow now works on multiple enemies, though I imagine that had something to do with players doing this. The familiar song and dance of dying, respawning, and resting at meditation circles that was so crucial to the lesson of failure in Fallen Order is hardly an obstacle anymore. It's just part of the path, even when you stumble. Coruscant's level design is far less meandering than any locale from Fallen Order, built around momentum and moving forward. Nooks, crannies, and unscheduled detours still abound, but never in any way or amount that deviates too far from the golden path, reinforcing the feeling of the focused, undaunted Jedi Cal has become, even though he could still use a little help.
What took you so long?
Oh, just hanging out, taking in the sights.
Bode Akuna is the latest addition to Cal's family of rebels. A mercenary with a daughter to protect, Bode's loyalty doesn't end at a pile of credits. Useful in combat, and at giving Cal the boost he needs, Bode is proof that the Empire hasn't taken the fight out of everyone else either. Like any survivor, he's surely made compromises, but never in the Empire's favor and never on behalf of the people he loves. Not like Senator Cere Junda.
Someday when your children see this, they'll know the Jedi never stopped fighting for them.
As Cordova once said, hope will always survive in those who continue to fight. But while Cal's hope in the Empire's demise will never diminish, one crushing truth will certainly temper it. He's barely made a scratch.
They're everywhere.
Cal may have gained some sort of mastery over his failures, trust in others as much as himself, and momentum on the path ahead. But Jedi Survivor now begs a new and even bolder question than its predecessor. Where, oh where, does the path lead? What is the point of Cal's perseverance, the payoff for his struggle, the sigh of victory after a long 5 years of fighting? When will it end? And when, if ever, will it stop taking from him?
You've been chasing shadows! I have been... No! Look out! Yes, yes.
All your momentum plummets into freefall.
Are you kidding me?
This sense of dizzying indirectness was practically a hallmark of Fallen Order. Detours were as essential to the level design and storytelling as they are to a really good roller coaster. But to find ourselves maneuvering the conveyor belts, squads of troopers, and trigger-happy hunters in Coruscant's Undercity so abruptly after the loss of Gabs, Koob, and Liz invokes not the sense of adventure or discovery we're usually enchanted by, but something angrier.
All the guilt you're feeling for those fools you led to their deaths makes you so predictable.
With your new powers and a bit of Cal's anger, the Ninth Sister becomes a punching bag. Not just for the friends who fell today, but for all the frustration, struggle, and fatigue of the last 5 years. Yet, those aggressive swings, as right as they feel, only make you a predictable foe and will only take you so far. Sooner or later, if you want to win, you have to let go.
Masana! You were a Jedi Knight before you betrayed our order.
Every Jedi faces the dark side. And it's very easy to fail.
Your name was Masana Tide.
We will always struggle. But that is the test. It's the choice to keep fighting that makes us who we are.
It's time to set you free.
Even if it spits on the fallen. The Nine Sisters' defeat is hollow and perhaps a bit troubling. If the scales of justice have come any closer today to balance, it's only been through the loss of yet another Jedi. More than likely, balance is further now than before. 4 rebels died, a people lost its senator, and the Empire remains as strong as ever. Nothing of value was gained. Nearly everyone that mattered was lost. And seemingly, Cal is back where he started, before the fight even began. Tired and alone.
We did it.
But not exactly.
Hey, BD. Hey, are you making a Hollow movie? Hey, let's make sure I look good, right?
Despite his telekinetic ability to peer back through time and determination to push ahead, there is one perspective Cal still can't seem to wrap his head around. Why ever did the sweet days of Grease's salty casseroles, Cere's mentorship, and Merrin's small glances have to go sour? Estranged by circumstances he never fully understood, Cal Kestis is stuck, somewhere between his worst fears and a dream far too out of reach, riddled with a never-ending battle against trauma and loss. Try as he may, persist with all his might, the journey never ends, your enemies always respawn, and the path remains as perilous as it was 5 years ago. With the Mantis in need of repairs, this former scrapper may not care much for the respite, or the middle of nowhere that path now leads him towards. But Grease Dreadus didn't just choose any old rock to settle on. He chose Koboh. Over the 5 years that Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order spent in development at Respawn's main studio in Sherman Oaks, California, game director Stig Asmussen and his fledgling team, formed for the sole purpose of making a melee action game, took heavy inspiration from their favorite games in the action genre. Dark Souls, Tomb Raider, Uncharted, and even a bit of classic Metroid. The game wore these influences on its sleeve, but they also had an important role to play, maintaining a steady sense of both discovery and peril, akin to the plight of a fugitive of the Jedi Purge. In Jedi Survivor, Respawn doesn't quite move on from their original influences, despite the criticism they once received for adhering too closely to them. If anything, they boldly double down on them, as much as Cal has doubled down on fighting the Empire. At first, nothing about Koboh's starting area strongly suggests this. Aside from the familiar Metroidvanian level design, it's just roller mines, Bedlam Raiders, and their recommissioned battle droids.
Dilemma solved.
But there are a few hints of what's to come, starting with the wall jumping mechanic. And besides, Dredger Gorge is just the training wheels. On the other side, Respawn plunges Cal and the player into the much wider wilds of Koboh.
Yeah, look at that.
For as far as the eye can see, a spread of mesas, waterfalls, and fields of dry grass are all but inconspicuous from the silhouettes of rustic shacks and silos etched into the horizon. Literal living tumbleweeds frolic past exotic shrubs and cacti, while strange lizard-like gorgers follow their curiosity to the business end of Cal's lightsaber. Horse-like Nekkos, who, to Cal, are not too big on the horse part yet, quench their thirst by a colorful riverbed, leading to a quiet town that a few modest prospectors have been happy to call home. Most of the time. Koboh is the ultimate Star Wars ranch. It even has the southern accents, a saloon, and a showdown with bandits to boot.
Next time you want to pick a fight, you go through us.
In terms of design, it's packed with more nooks and crannies than maybe all of Fallen Order's worlds combined. And aesthetically, it couldn't be truer to the spirit of George Lucas's original Star Wars. Old but new defines Koboh, a land and a people as stuck in time as Cal is. The kind of place where almost every perch offers a scenic overlook, and the sun never sets any more than Cal's journey ever ends. For now, it's a cool drink of water. It would be nice to settle down, and even nicer to catch a few winks. But not while the Empire reigns. Cal's fight must go on. If not, what's the point?
What does their sacrifice mean if I go and I just give up and stick my head in the sand?
For all his groveling, the path that led Cal to Koboh did so for a reason. To catch his breath? Sure, why not? To help a town in need? Maybe. But truthfully, Cal was not brought here just so he could go back to the fight. Cal was brought here so he could fall into another detour. Not just any detour. This is something Cal has never seen before, and something he won't soon forget.
The key to Tanalorr is in that array. If you do not hurry, I fear it will be lost forever. May the Force be with you.
Z, it's Tanalorr.
Did you just say Tanalorr?
A planet hidden within the Koboh abyss.
You've heard of it?
Yeah, it's an old prospector's legend about a lost world filled with treasure.
It's home to a Jedi temple. A bastion of the Order's light on the galactic frontier. At least that's what my master hoped Tanalorr might become.
At first, the world known as Tanalorr sounds too good to be true. A world untouched by the Empire? It's the stuff of fairy tales, and Cal knows better than to hedge his bets on magical solutions. But at the heart of the Forest Array, a sealed-away woods that, in itself, feels like the backdrop of a fairy tale, is living proof to the contrary. A second chance for the Jedi, a home for the Jedi, a promised land for 10 long years of survival, and the dream of a Jedi's long overdue rest. Tanalorr is real. But for the pale-eyed, one-armed ghost of a man who stumbles out of the Bacta tank, Dagan Gera, that dream has officially ended.
A Sith Lord corrupted the Republic. Turned it into an empire.
In its place, a new waking nightmare. One where the Jedi are all but extinct, his hopes to build a temple on the galactic frontier brought to ruin, and his betrayal by a council he trusted made complete. After so much darkness, there's only one light left to live for, and one light left to kill for.
What have you done?
The Promised Land. Yesterday, Cal saw only the long road ahead. Now, thanks to Dagan Gera, it's even longer. But unlike before, that road may finally have a destination. A break from the fight that Cal and his cohorts can get behind.
I'm just spitballing here, but that does sound like a place that someone could call home.
Yeah. Yeah, it could be a home.
Of course, the key to Tanalorr that you unleashed is now also the biggest obstacle standing in your way. And once the post back to Delirium wears off, and the legendary powers of a High Republic Jedi return in full, it's going to get so much worse. But a head-on fight might not be necessary, something that Cal is finally wrapping his head around. As the flashback that precedes Cal learning to tame the Relter, and the flashbacks that will precede all the Force powers you collect in Jedi Survivor suggest, there are other ways to fight.
Cal, you can't fight your way out of some situations.
Seeds to be planted, bonds to be forged, and homes to be built. All things that prove that the Empire is not as eminent as it seems. If the survivor who taught him that is truly worth their salt, there may also be other ways to reach Tanalorr. At first, the surface of Jedha seems like a terrible place to plant anything at all. It's hot, so hot you can feel it through the screen. Pseudobonds pummel almost anything with a pulse, while Skrytons stalk anything that moves, much like the worm from Jedi Academy that I have to imagine Respawn at least paid homage to.
This guy does not give up. Gotta respect that.
The Empire, far more present here than on Koboh, are determined to lay waste to Jedi ruins of old with new and formidable killing machines.
Move in.
And even after all that, routine sandstorms come and sweep away everything too weak to survive on its own. But you are not on your own. Nor is Jedha as hopeless to its inhabitants as it was to our first impression. The statues of bygone Jedi, as far in the distance and as old as they appear, aren't going anywhere. For after the sandstorm settles, the monumental shadows of those statues in the desert and the Jedi Order they symbolize will loom larger than ever.
Hello, my friend. It's so very good to see you again.
Cal Kestis. Welcome to Jedha.
Here on Jedha, Jedi Master Cere Junda is determined to plant the seeds of something powerful enough to weather any storm. A makeshift archive, preserving generations of Jedi knowledge, and the Hidden Path, an intergalactic network organized to help Jedi fugitives escape the Empire. The fight that Cal's been fighting couldn't matter less to her.
As long as this knowledge remains, the legacy of the Jedi survives.
Meanwhile, Eno Cordova, returning from a failed expedition to find the Zepho, has already found renewed purpose at the side of his former apprentice. And Merrin, the desert ghost, who's a long way from Dathomir and from the timid girl who once tried to kill you, has spent the last 5 years seeing the galaxy, weathering one storm after another, always emerging stronger, wiser, and more certain of who she wants to be.
What'd you find?
Myself. Reflected in all the places and people I encountered.
Jedha is not what these characters would call home, not like it is for the Anchorites. Nor are they oblivious to the threat of the Empire at Jedha's doorstep. But what these survivors have learned is that with each other's help, anything is achievable, even finding Tanalorr.
I believe I have something. Oh, you're too kind, BD.
Though Cal came to Jedha hoping to find a path to Tanalorr, he probably wasn't expecting this much pause. Everyone he once believed was stuck in the past is arguably doing more for the galaxy's future than he is, saving lives rather than fighting the good fight. Growth and self-improvement, both necessary pursuits when Cal chased the holocron 5 years ago, might have seemed trivial when Merrin left the crew, but seeing her now, it's clear she made the right call. Merrin let go of her fears. She let go of the past. Cal has not.
I keep worrying about something bad happening to one of you.
It's good to acknowledge your fear, but don't let it determine your path.
After losing Master T'Pol, Prauf, the Jedi Order, and the family of rebels that must still be fresh in his mind, it's not at all hard to comprehend why Cal remains so relentless in his fight against the Empire. Until all are free, no one is free. But as his friends now suggest, the fight against trauma, the choice to keep fighting from Fallen Order, might just be, paradoxically, the very thing feeding it. That in the face of other, more figurative and more useful ways to fight, the way Cal has chosen to fight was all but programmed into him as a child soldier of the Clone Wars. As an adult, it lives on in him not just as the legacy of the Order's misguided turn to war, but as a trauma response to further loss.
Cal, you were just a child when they sent you off to war. You know, there was a time when I remember that Jedi were more than just weapons.
In the greater sense that Cal is stuck, trapped between fears and hopes, he is also stuck fighting the Clone Wars, right down to the irony of slicing battle droids on Koboh. It's all he's ever known, but like the Jedi before him, a weapon is not all he ever needs to be. And to someone who once fought with every fiber of their being and in total isolation for all they ever knew, the fight, destructive in its very nature, is only useful to a point. Eventually,
it will consume everything in its path until there is only ash.
Unless you let someone in. Unless you open yourself up to change and accept the help of others to drive away the darkness. To a fighter as weary as him, the lesson is not easily learned nor accepted, but Cal is willing to try. Or, as a small green Jedi might have once told him, do. Cal will confront his fear of loss and find Tanalorr. With hope, he may leave the fight behind too, and settle into the first thing resembling a home since before the Jedi Purge. It's a tall order, and Cal may not be equipped to handle it on his own. But he's not alone. He never has been, and he won't be again, so long as he's armed with the tools and wisdom his friends provide to accomplish what is too great to do on his own. Even when one of those tools is just a new and handy way of putting a stormtrooper back in their place. In the 3.5 years Jedi Survivor spent in partially remote development, Respawn devised all sorts of new and handy ways of their own to empower the player. The core experience of Fallen Order is very much intact, as we've charted paths and shortcuts through unexplored areas back to meditation points, and grown our connection to the Force by overcoming insurmountable challenges and pointy teeth. But almost everything that was once at the fringes has been massively expanded into its own part of the game, all to thematically reinforce other ways to fight. At first, quite literally. The blaster stance offers a melee-ranged hybrid alternative to the 3 melee stances you started off with. The freedom to attack from a distance may not immediately resonate, but when it does, it changes the entire way you play. The crossguard lightsaber, on the other hand, a strong example of Respawn leaning harder into their influences, trades urgent swings for heavy, disruptive hits of higher risk, much like the Dark Souls Claymore before it.
This is strange.
Tears in the Force, hidden all around the game, put several curated twists on the meditation training challenges from Fallen Order by presenting gameplay scenarios that force you to adapt. Eliminate your foes with only the double-bladed stance, complete a zipline obstacle course without getting zapped, or fight Ogdo Bogdo and his Hellspawn son at the same time. Gradually, other ways to fight extends beyond the literal and into the figurative, into new methods of problem solving, from a Koboh matter sprayer that turns rivers into fire to the High Republic meditation chambers, all deliberately constructed around an unconventional approach to the Force.
Let truth flow like a river and carve new channels around any obstacle.
Onto roads less traveled, above the gusty, volcanic stone spires of Koboh, where the help of a Relter is greatly needed to reach the devastated settlement at the top, the bioluminescent Fonki caverns, an underground network of caves that magically connect many parts of Koboh together, and the Shattered Moon, which, though fractured on its surface, brims underneath with busy machines, plumes of steam, and the crisscrossing of cables and vents into one big convoluted grid of chaos. It's arguably Jedi Survivor at its most Metroidvania, facilitating more out-of-the-box navigation than anywhere else we've traveled. But even the perseverance of an identity is another way to fight that should appeal to any Jedi forced to evade the Empire. Jedi Survivor goes so much bigger on customization than its predecessor, allowing you to style Cal's hair and beard, the color and articles of his clothing, and of course, his lightsaber. A feature that already sported variety and depth in Fallen Order, but has now evolved so far beyond the blueprint of typical lightsaber design to incorporate textures, paints, and parts unfound anywhere else in Star Wars. To have your own lightsaber, your own Cal, and even your own BD-1 is not just wish fulfillment for the ultimate Jedi fantasy. Every crate opened, and every hairstyle or pair of boots bought from Doma Dendra's shop is reclaiming a small bit of agency. Simply being yourself is a worthy act of defiance, just as it was for Merrin. In turn, the inherent reward of unlocking more customization becomes a driving force behind more exploration. You'll storm a heavily fortified Bedlam Raider camp just for a pink poncho, or an Imperial outpost overflowing with imps, and Rick the Door Technician, realistically the most powerful enemy in... all for a cool blaster barrel. But you'll also fight a vile Bile Maul and a Sudban Alpha to unlock perks, a new way of bending the rules of combat in your favor. And sometimes, you'll journey out to a claustrophobic mine to fight the Rancor at the bottom, or trek the muddy trails of the fogged expanse to reach a crashed Imperial shuttle because someone at the Pyloon Saloon told you to. More than any meager strike against a vastly superior Imperial force, or Sisyphean devotion to a long-term fight that won't soon be won, the survival and preservation of a community is maybe the most important form of resistance that the player can cultivate. A community that will slowly populate Rambler's Reach and the dingy stalls of its saloon as you rescue survivors from all walks of life all over the galaxy. Holochess players, a DJ duo, scrap dealers, and who could forget the legendary Scoofa Stev.
A sordid tale will bring you nothing but grief and woe.
Okay, well, if you're not sharing stories, we'll...
Oh, fine, I'll tell you.
Only a few know how to hold a blaster, and some are probably better off never learning how.
I'm a murderer!
But all have something of value to offer the community, and in turn, receive something back from it. Mosey protects the locals from rogue wildlife. Ash and DDEC bring choral jams to the saloon. Talakt tells people's fortunes, and Monk serves their drinks.
So what's your tell?
My incurable honesty.
But there's also folks like Toa, an archaeologist who scouts out High Republic chambers for you to investigate, while retired bounty hunter Cage Vanda gives you the scoop on Haxian brood hunters hot on your trail.
Everybody's got rockets except me.
Pilly tends to the rooftop garden with seeds you collect from across Koboh, and Cal Kestis guards them all against the threat of Bedlam Raiders and Imperial invaders alike. The saloon does not grow on its own, and in fact updates the moment you re-enter Rambler's Reach, but Respawn still goes to amazing lengths to make every interaction engaging, organic, and a little unpredictable, taking heavy inspiration from the companions of Bioware games like Mass Effect. In my 60 hours of Jedi Survivor, stopping by the saloon at every passing opportunity to see how my actions have helped a community blossom, every character always had something new to say, something new to offer.
All these acts combine into something greater than the performers themselves.
Ahead of Tanalorr, Koboh shows Cal the value of refuge to those too weak to fight for it on their own. A path we only ever embark on because we learn to embrace a world of perseverance beyond the fight we already know. Survival is victory, which is why Cal will embark on an all-new path and heed the call of the Anchorites in their hour of need.
I know the ruins. I will go.
I'm coming with you.
Bring back Aramias.
You got it.
And no heroics.
With this one? No promises.
I think she was talking to you.
Pilgrim's Sanctuary is under attack. If Brother Armias, the guardian of the safe house within, falls to the Empire, the hidden path will be exposed, putting all the Force sensitives it protects at risk. But something just as sacred will be tarnished forever if the Empire succeeds, and only by traversing the Pilgrim's path does Cal glean a bit of what that is. After Merrin departs to clear Cal's path, Stephen Barton and Gordy Hab's ethereal music becomes your only companion on an eerily quiet, treacherously windy trail, disrupted only by the obnoxious prattling of stormtroopers. As the path continues, you'll find the bodies of more and more fallen anchorites, where Force echoes and BD scans tell the story of their fragile pilgrimage, a rite of passage to the promised sanctuary at the end of the path. Puzzles and difficult terrain may be nothing for the likes of Cal and Merrin, but for so many anchorites, the challenge was too great on their own.
Devoted to the very end. But to what cause?
And yet, there's no tragedy in their demise. Many of their bodies have been carefully preserved and entombed by others in the Crypt of Irma. One anchorite was even entombed with their droid, a reflection of Cal and BD. We too are pilgrims, walking a holy trail to safety, a parallel of the path we'll soon walk to Tanalorr. We will fall, and when we do, we'll find ourselves on an all too familiar detour. But we won't be discouraged by it. Not this time. Instead, those who have fallen, on the greater path and on the pilgrimage, personified by the singing obelisks in the ruins, will uplift us, granting us the power to prove to the forces swirling all around us that no matter how much they take or how far they spread, we will always find a way to endure.
We gotta take this storm head on.
In learning to brace the storm, Cal finally learns Force Dash, regaining a momentum he hasn't enjoyed since Coruscant and adding another hallmark to the Metroidvanian genre to our skill set. No longer restricted by wind or distance, we chart our own path forward, and to the heroic tune of Hab and Barton's Cal Kestis theme from Fallen Order. Cal will now push himself, quite literally, farther than ever to save those he can still save. He may not get there in time.
Cal, he's gone.
And he won't easily forgive himself when he doesn't. But so long as he is armed with the tools
Take this.
And guidance
Go quickly. We'll protect you.
that his friends provide, Cal will never lose sight of the path. The home that can still be saved. The lives that sorely need it. The life that he deserves to live.
Is that for luck?
No. Right.
And the trust Merrin deserves.
Jump through, Cal! Now!
More than ever.
I can't believe this!
I believe it!
As Cal soars like a superhero through a twisting maze of trident limbs, rocky columns, and laser fire, Respawn plunges us into gaming's wildest thrill ride in recent memory. Our ability to endure, to fly, meets our ambition to go fast enough to save the future. And it's all built on faith, an adrenaline-charged dance through the sky with the woman of Cal's dreams. The Jedi that emerges on the other side is, at the very least, a little stronger, wiser, and more certain of who he wants to be.
Now or never.
Cal Kestis let go of his fears today. He saved Pilgrim's Sanctuary and found a path forward. Now having saved one refuge, he sees the greater potential of another. Tanalorr won't just be a haven for himself and his friends, but a home for anyone who's ever been persecuted by the Empire. And though the life that awaits him on the other side of Tanalorr is yet unclear, one thing isn't. He'll go to any length to make this dream come true, and so will his friends.
I will join you. Besides, it's been far too long since I've made Grease's hair stand on end.
Remember, persistence reveals the path.
Walking away isn't an option.
They'll be onto the floor.
You gotta know when to walk away from a rigged game. Otherwise, you are gonna end up losing something you could never replace.
You have to make a choice to move on.
The Raiders paid us another visit. Took a shine to that droid you found.
See?
They took her, Cal. Carried her right out. She's been droid napped.
When you're ready, make a move on that gantry. I'll be watching.
Copy that.
Now as committed to Tanalorr as he once was to fighting the Empire, Cal must rescue Z from the clutches of the Bedlam Raiders aboard Koboh's derelict Lucrehulk. The following mission comes across like a Clone Wars throwback. Even the pause menu reads like a Tom Kane narration from the show. The Lucrehulk is full of fun verticality and movie-accurate detail for Star Wars fans, but as the fight literally escalates to the top of the ship, the stakes for Tanalorr also escalate. For the Raiders, it would be a break from the yurts they're forced to call home.
Living quarters. Saw them on Merrin 9.
For Ravis, it could mark the long overdue end to his oath of servitude to Dagan. And for the Arcanian, Tanalorr will spell a new chapter, written in the blood of his enemies.
Once we are on Tanalorr, perhaps we can dream up a new war. You and I.
In Cal's eyes, the Promised Land is no longer just the ideal home for the persecuted. It's contested property now, escalating from want to need. No different than the war waged by the Empire on the worlds they invade. There are other ways to fight, but in the race for Tanalorr, only one type of fight now matters. The one that will end the fight for everyone he loves. That fight sends the Mantis crew back to the Shattered Moon, where Cal and the player will tear through greater droves of raiders than they've ever fought before, all while evading or making use of the Death Star-style particle beam at the center. Met with increasing resistance, Cal will justify any use of power and use every tool necessary to defy the obstacles before him. Cal will never feel less deterred, never less tethered to the ground beneath his feet than when we find ourselves flying through the clouds to reach Santari Khri's observatory. No magic required.
Sorry to keep you waiting. Had to swat a few bedlam flies to make a landing.
After Bode joins up to lend a hand and a boost, just as he did on Coruscant, Cal will go even faster. And by the end of our rematch with the hard-hitting Ravis, a fight that puts our endurance and ability to the test, Cal will never feel more unstoppable.
Where is the compass?
And that should concern us. Though the wind has been at his back, spurring Cal onward through every challenge, Ravis is not like any other opponent he's fought. He has lived a long, tiring life, in servitude to Dagan, but also to a code of honor, not unlike the Jedi Code. But now trapped in a time of Imperial rule in which he believes there is little honor to be won, his code is but a shackle. His key to freedom, the Promised Land.
After all these centuries, I still dream of Tanalorr.
Maybe Cal could lead him there, but more likely, a foe as uncompromising as Cal will only lead him into the past. To Ravis, it's the only place a code still matters. The force echoes of Dagan's lethal ambitions on the Shattered Moon played in deliberate juxtaposition to Cal's violent encounters with Bedlam Raiders, yet the comparison and its implications did not dawn on him. On the Lucrehulk, where his banter with Bode was routinely interrupted by Raider ambushes, the irony of continuing down an ever-looping hallway reminiscent of his childhood eluded him.
Destroyer droids. Perfect.
But for a moment, as he stepped into the familiar role of executioner to set yet another obstinate foe free of their darkness, the warnings of Cere and Merrin that once fell on trying ears started making sense. The dying sentiment of Ravis started making sense. And as we travel back to the Mantis via zipline, those warnings and that sentiment will unravel in our minds. Even as he pursues Tanalorr, the ultimate escape from the Empire's oppression, Cal is still fighting in the past and still on behalf of the Empire's demise. He let go of his fear once, but as the race has accelerated, he clings to it now like never before. Arguably, this fight is necessary, imposed by the rising ambition of his opponent. But after it's over, what then? Cal's words say one thing, his actions say another. He has been shown, and even embraced, many alternatives to fighting. Yet still, he may choose to be a weapon, willing to trade every weakness for a tactical advantage, including his Jedi code.
Without a code, you can only serve yourself.
When the dust clears and Tanalorr is settled, will he truly be able to rest, knowing the galaxy still burns? Knowing he can do something about it, but well knowing such a fight is bound to take even more from him? Dagan Gera may be far gone to the dark side, but in principle, there may be no line between him and Cal. Only a blur. Both men are chained to the past, and both have demonstrated a willingness to kill anyone standing in their way. What makes them different may only be a matter of time.
Is that what troubles you? Losing yourself?
Yeah.
But something else makes them different, and it's reflected all around us. From Winnie and Zig, who found each other in the Viscid Bog during our rescue mission, to Grok and Dana, and even Gulu and Guido, all prospectors who've settled for a modest life on Koboh.
How long you been together?
Too long.
It's reflected in Bode and his daughter, in Cere and Cordova, in the cracked shards of Santari and Dagan, and now in Merrin. It's a family who loves him, who wants the best for Cal, and knows when he needs to walk away.
Life is precious, and so is happiness.
I wish it were that simple.
It is that simple.
Dagan did not choose his family, even when the consequences were clear. Now a slave to his ambitions, his only company might be the past, though it can never be changed. If there was ever a time for Cal to let go of his fears and a past he can't change himself, it's now, at the verge of an imminent new beginning. Because the friends he'll never stop fighting to protect won't stop for us either.
If you ever stray from your path, we will guide you back.
If Santari had only stood with me, we could have convinced the Council that Tanalorr was worth the sacrifice.
But friendship alone will not defeat Dagan, nor will it be a match for the power he has now amassed. As alone as he is, Dagan well argues, if it's protection you're looking for, nothing beats the raw might of the Force. The test of this final duel might be to prove him wrong, but you'll spend most of it on your own, weathering one Force blast after another, swept up in the blur between two Jedi survivors. To the extent previous darkside wielders exploited what makes us predictable, Dagan exploits the fight itself as much as possible. Our expectation of when to swing, when to hold back, and who even to attack. We're too overwhelmed and all too susceptible to the fear. But if you can resist the whirlwind, you may just find hope. Dagan does have one weakness, as a duelist and as a Jedi, fallen from the light. He can seize Tanalorr, raise an army, and take the galaxy by storm, but it will never restore what was lost.
You're lost. You've strayed from the path. And you are no Jedi.
And never make his dream anything more than a nightmare. Inches from death, Cal and Bode survive the storm. As Dagon's soul leaves his body, so does Cal's fear of becoming him. In its stead, a vision of harmony. For so long, Cal has had to choose whether to hide or stand tall, whether to fight back or walk away, and whether to wage war or build something new. But maybe the key to saving the future and the key to destroying the Empire are actually one and the same. It's Tanalorr.
Tanalorr's a fortress. We should use it for the hidden path. Gather allies, train. They'd never see us coming.
Free from the Empire's oppression and the laws of survival, Tanalorr can set the galaxy free of its darkness. A home for the persecuted, but in time, an end to all fighting. For everyone.
I don't know, that seems risky.
Everything is at risk so long as the Empire's around.
As he did before, Bode argues that happiness is enough. Family is enough. But he'll come around. Because for the first time, these survivors won't have to choose.
I know what I want now.
They can finally have both. You've come a long way from the bitter Jedi that survived Coruscant. Soon, you, your family, and anyone willing to bask in the safety of Tanalorr will be free. The journey is finally over. Cal rests in this beautiful assurance and dreams of Tanalorr. Little does he realize, it is still only a dream.
Bode. Son. Son, you don't have to do this. No!
Master Cordova! He's dead! Bode has the compass. Go after it. Go!
After several hours of gameplay, and much longer for Cal, Bode Akuna betrays his family. As the chase erupts, all of Cal's fears rush back to life. The mistakes that led us here unravel across the dunes of Jedha. Our trust was pointless. His help was pointless. The boost he gave us was just a means to an end. We fought together, yet we never knew Bode. We never knew the half of it. Because the only thing more shocking than his deception is his survival.
Not the only one who survived.
Like the Jedi Order and Republic before him, Cal Kestis and the Hidden Path are double-crossed by a Force wielder in hiding. Trapped, despite his efforts, in a past yet again set to run its course, Cal is powerless to do anything.
Cere.
But watch. Confronted with that same past, an all-consuming siege on the last remnants of a fallen order, Cere has a chance and a choice Cal did not. One with her failures, her fears, and the Force, Cere will not run nor give in to hate. She'll only fight for what she can still save.
Hold them back! They cannot reach the ArTorr.
Cere's speed, ability to counter every Force thrown at her, and capacity to defend others makes the player feel fearless at the exact moment our dream turns into a nightmare. Cal's psychometry makes this gameplay as Cere possible, but like every other Force Echo, the perspective she lends us is invaluable. The archive burns wherever she goes, yet Cere never hesitates to put the lives of the people around her first. The darkness cannot daunt her.
You have grown stronger.
No. I've only let go of my fear.
We shall see.
Even Darth Vader, once a terrifying, untenable opponent, nothing less than a horror game monster, is reduced to an approachable, albeit challenging boss fight by Cere's balance in the Force. He never tires and makes for one of the hardest fights in the game. Cere's fate is already sealed by almost 50 years of Star Wars canon too, and we all know it. But Vader can never exploit what she's already let go of. Cere has no delusions about the task before her, and no regrets for the choice she's about to make. She and the player will fight for as long and hard as they can, but not forever. Nothing survives that long. Faced with a future where the hidden path is discovered and slaughtered by the Empire, Cere chooses to sacrifice herself. Death is a tragedy, one Cal could not prevent, and one he won't soon forgive himself for either. Cal might as well be staring at the same hologram that shot down his hopes at the game's start. The Anchorite Refuge has been destroyed. Two of the strongest surviving Jedi in the whole galaxy, Eno Cordova and Cere Junda, erased by the Empire. Nearly everything Cere built to preserve the Jedi, ruined. And Bode, gone without a trace.
Damn it.
But not entirely. Bode has fled to Nova Garron. Why and what for doesn't matter. Only the lives that can still be saved and the fight that will finally free them.
For Cere.
Hidden in the cold, clawing spires of Nova Garron, Cal and the crew of the Mantis find an ISB outpost, every bit as utilitarian as the Lion's Den that was Fortress Inquisitorius, but even more orderly and mechanical, like the lab of a mad scientist. While most of Cal's foes in Jedi Survivor have been faceless, helmeted assailants, the Imperial officers here add a subtle wrinkle, a foe that you must look in the eye before swinging the saber. And where Cal's fight against Fortress Inquisitorius was framed as courageous, there's little to none of the same spirit here. Not in the music, not in the blaster, a weapon Cal once scoffed at, and not in the level design, where every wing of the base shortcuts back to the hangar, as Cal contemptuously lays waste to one imp after another, while BD1 reluctantly beeps an endorsement. Even the well-worn Star Wars trope of sneaking through the enemy base in their own uniform is nowhere near as whimsical as it's usually presented. Something about one of the Empire's greatest irritants wearing it feels backwards. Something about Cal playing nice with the daughter of the man he's come to interrogate feels backwards.
It was supposed to be a surprise. But you got here a little sooner than I expected. Come here, Kata.
A glimpse of a brotherhood that could have been passes, eclipsed by something angrier.
How'd you survive the Purge?
The Council assigned a few of us to intelligence during the Clone Wars. I used the skills that I learned there to disappear. Went into hiding. Didn't know who to trust. Familiar story.
Faced with many of the same tough calls Cal had to make after the Purge, Bode has chosen to walk away. Use the dubious skills imbued in him by the Order to survive. The consequences are not important. The past is not important. The Order was vanquished, and on some level, good riddance to them. Why fight for something that ruined his life?
One day, Kata and I were out running errands, and I got this message. Don't come home. My wife bought us the time to escape.
All that really matters is Kata. All that really matters is their promised land, where 10 years of sacrifice will all be made worthwhile. Cal knows the Order wasn't perfect. This was the argument of Terran Malicos, who searched for greater power as an answer to the Order's arrogance. But the symbol of the Jedi, Cal believes, far outweighs the legacy of its failures. It is still worth saving. Then again, can Cal still call himself a Jedi?
You probably fought in the Clone Wars as a child soldier, right?
No, not exactly. Fight is all I know.
Jedi were more than just weapons.
At almost every opportunity Cal had to leave the fight and plant the seeds of something new, in an archive, in a saloon, in himself, he refused, even at the cost of losing his friends. For a time, Tanalorr seemed different. A new path that rekindled his connection with his estranged family and introduced alternatives to fighting that he could get behind. But Cal has once again refused, envisioning Tanalorr as a staging ground for a Jedi strike force. Cal once feared walking in Dagan's footsteps, but in Bode's eyes, he's already halfway there. The vanguard of a fallen order of peacekeepers, too deluded to realize the irony of his own warmongering, an irony the player is directly complicit in. With every ability and tool acquired, the gameplay loop Respawn refined for Jedi Survivor has engaged us more and more. We're increasingly eager for the next challenge, the next boss, the next glorious battle. Each kill doling us to the next life taken and the violence required to take it. And though we've grown powerful enough to conquer large groups of enemies, the escalating difficulty has naturally enticed us to a quicker, easier, and more seductive path to victory. The red glow behind our skill tree signifying a lust for power to defeat Bode in a fight we know is coming. Our means of survival are no less questionable than Bode's. Arguably, our use of power is no less misguided than Malicos's. And the legacy of the Jedi's failures are no less plagued by arrogance.
Arrogance is a trap a lot of us fall into, Senator. I understand betrayal. Someday when your children see this, Cal, they'll know the Jedi never stopped fighting for them. And that you lured me here to take down this base.
Get out of my way.
Now, the choice to keep fighting makes us,
well,
who we
fighting the Empire is what you do best.
Are.
Avenge us!
With your new powers and a bit of Cal's anger, the halls of Nova Garron become a slaughterhouse. Not just for the family who fell on Jedha, but for all the frustration, struggle, and fatigue of the last 10 years. The worst part is that it's fun. You are spellbound to a power from which there is no escape, too captivated to say no. But this darkness, as convenient as it is, will only push others away and will only devour your soul. Sooner or later, if you want to save yourself,
the Empire has taken enough from us! I will not lose you too!
You have to let go. For the moment, Merrin pulls Cal from the whirlwind and back on the path. But from here onward, the responsibility will be ours. The power of the dark side forever at our disposal, boiling beneath the surface. The choice to embrace it is in your hands. The consequences of using it are in your hands. And just like Cal, now that we've had a taste of it, we're all but powerless to resist its pull. Nor the engine of vengeance in his heart, fast hurtling us towards Tanalorr. We have to see this through to the end. We need the end, before the journey takes even more.
I hope it's worth it.
If that journey ended now, the moment we walked off the ramp and into a world of unbridled beauty untainted by the Empire, Jedi Survivor might have a beautiful ending. The home Cal always deserved, with the closest thing he's ever had to a family. It does not end here, and we knew it wouldn't. Despite the people he killed and the family he destroyed, Cal and Merrin are still willing to offer Bode mercy. The help and counsel he once offered might have been genuine. It can be again. Please share the dream. share the burden of loss, and accept the help of others, even if it's easier said than done, and even if he does not deserve it. But Bode has made up his mind. He's made his sacrifice, and he needs the end as much as we do.
I will decide what's best for my family!
With every attack countered, every dirty trick employed to exploit a weakness he detected from weeks of undercover espionage, Bode's betrayal deepens. A man Cal might have once called his brother is now willing to do whatever it takes to kill him. And now, so is Cal. Consumed by the whirlwind, Cal now stands where Dagon stood, a slave to his own ambitions. The darkness that takes hold weaponizes Jedi survivors' ugliest revelation, a truth that Cal refused, now punching him in the face. The fight that corrupts Cal's path might have once been a choice, but not anymore. Whether driven by justice, revenge, obsession, or trauma, the indifferent shadow of Imperial oppression forces all to wade through the darkness, robbed of any guarantee that light will return. The chance to escape, to end your perilous journey, is as rare as compassion in a time of survival. To secure all you'd fear to lose and assure all you dream of having, you would do anything, trade any part of yourself, and wield every slight you've ever been dealt on others. Now that Cal's embraced it as much as Bode, forever will it dominate his destiny. He knows it's not right and that it won't restore the past, but Cal is too tired to care. After so much darkness, there's only one light left to live for. One light left to kill for. Bode Akuna is dead. Tanalorr is yours. It was hardly worth the cost. It's easy to overlook what it actually took Respawn to build Jedi Survivor. It's easy to believe that Stig Asmussen and the amazing team backing him, design directors Jason DeArez and Jeff Majors, writers Aaron Contreras, Danny Holman, Shine Morin, Pete Stewart, and Cole Swaney, performance capture director Tom Keegan, animators Matt London and Alex Breeze, lead UI designer Jordan DeVries, audio director Nick Von Cannell, and all the developers alongside them are wizards, brilliant and gifted in every way a studio can be. It's easy to suppose Cameron Monaghan, Deborah Wilson, Tina Vlev, Noshir Dalal, Cody Fern, and Daniel Roebuck couldn't have had a smoother experience stepping into the shoes of their characters. And it's easy to tout Jedi Survivor's stunning development cycle, a whole year and a half shorter than its predecessor, as Respawn on God mode. Make no mistake, Respawn deserves their flowers, and quite honestly, should be getting more, if not for releasing the same year as Baldur's Gate 3, curse the amazing game that you are. But like any work of art, any painstaking project we spend years of our lives pursuing, the journey is not always so glamorous.
How'd you get interested in plants anyway?
Oh, it's quite simple. I wanted children, but the galaxy had other plans. And I like to watch things grow.
Not too much is known about the development of Jedi Survivor. We know how quick it came together, how the bulk of development took place during the COVID-19 outbreak, how its actors shot scenes in the volume with only an essential crew, while Respawn underwent a company-wide shift towards remote work-from-home development. Obviously, none of this was part of the plan, and I won't dramatize Jedi Survivor's development just to fill out the details. But one idea shared by Asmussen, seemingly central to everything we know, and every great work forged through difficult times, merits mention. It took sacrifice. We want to be ambitious, but we don't want to get in a position where we're kind of setting ourselves up to not hit all our marks. Our philosophy is, it's okay to fail, but fail fast, fail early. Fortunate as they were to encounter the pandemic early in development, the tough calls Respawn had to make were evidently plenty and defined by compromise. Asmussen's team not only strove to be a master over their failures, the philosophy that guided them through development is damn near imbued in Jedi Survivor as well. The holo-recordings of Master Cordova found that every Jedha temple preached the values of adapting and enduring.
Welcome, traveler. When the path is blocked, seek another way.
Several talks with the patrons of Pyloon Saloon revolve around some sort of compromise, accepting the unforeseen unraveling of circumstances that led them to Koboh.
Listen, the happiest folk live somewhere between what they want and what they got, you know?
Yeah, I hear you.
And of course, Cal himself is confronted by compromise over and over in his journey. The quest for Tanalorr, though a noble one, is in itself a diversion from Cal's original quest. Understandably, that quest soured into something unreachable and unrealistic. The path was blocked. Continuing down it would have been a mistake. So, Cal sought another way. That's what a survivor does.
Always consider the situation from multiple angles.
But Cal made a greater mistake over the course of Jedi Survivor, and it's a hard one to reckon with. Failure, in the form of oversight, overconfidence, or just suffering a dumb death to a stupid monster, is never the end. We know that. But after a while, one tires of constant failure. One wonders if the end they're looking for, the dream they're chasing, will ever come, and that they're not just bashing their head into a wall. To abandon that dream at the 11th hour feels like its own kind of failure. Settling for something less is an insult to all the time and energy devoted to what would ultimately amount to a fool's errand. If we ever take the easier road, we do so on our terms. I will share Tanalorr with my family, but not with strangers.
You're a monster boat.
No, I'm a father.
Otherwise, we don't settle. We're quick, not necessarily to adapt, but to sell ourselves on the next most favorable outcome. Tanalorr is not just a haven, it's the key to defeating the Empire. In reality, our power to negotiate the outcome is nothing compared to the forces of fate. It's just a gambler's fallacy.
We all know it's a rigged game, but we choose how to play.
In the same way failure is not always our fault, we can never entirely account for circumstances beyond our control. The invasion of the Nihil, the Jedi Purge, an Inquisitor ambush, and the betrayal of Bode Akuna. For Respawn, as it was for many of us, it was the COVID-19 pandemic, ruining lives and plunging many into survival mode. If we could just fight harder, push further and faster than we've ever needed to, we could weather any storm. We could be unstoppable. But this kind of drive, relentless and unhealthy in its nature, only feeds the trauma and the fear of recreating that trauma that underlies the loss that we never move on from. This is the darkness as Jedi Survivor defines it, and it will consume us until we learn to let go. Let go of the battles that can't be won. Let go of the fear that guides our violent attempts at control like an invisible hand. And let go of the pain that can't be stopped. This is the long-term battle for every victim of trauma, that after you've packed away your demons and accepted your losses, the choice of what to do with your pain becomes a day-in, day-out struggle, one that may never, ever end. For pain does not grant wisdom or even a moral compass. It only makes you hurt.
I thought if I let go of the pain, I would be letting go of the people I loved. But I was wrong. This pain is yours. It is part of you.
Cal could not let go, even when he realized he should, because doing so would also mean abandoning his dream. He wanted it too much. The Fallen deserved it too much. His journey needed a payoff, and he was done compromising. Yet, all the power he cultivated was still not enough to prevent disaster. In turn, 4 Jedi died, a child lost her father, and the Empire remains as strong as ever. Tanalorr was gained, but so many of the people it mattered for were lost. And seemingly, Cal is back where he started, before the fight even began. Stuck in time, stuck reliving the loss, stuck blaming himself for it, stuck with the burden of moving on without his friends, and stuck with the pain he never asked for and would do anything to be rid of. A place somewhere between his worst fears and a dream far too out of reach. Tanalorr is a nightmare, and it has left Cal tired and alone. But not exactly. What separates Cal from the Jedi survivors around him is that whenever he drifted from the path, his friends were there to bring him back. The trust Cere gave him 5 years ago inspired Cal to pass it on to Merrin, who then gave it back to Cal. All helped each other through the darkness and were willing to help Bode too. When Cal came to Koboh with nothing but a damaged ship in BD-1, he found Pyloon Saloon, and in time helped it flourish into a home for stragglers from all over the galaxy. Survivors who've all been through similar degrees of hell, made similar gambles, and paid the price for those gambles.
Will you take some advice?
Sure.
It's not just about getting out. It's about getting out before you lose everything.
Even someone like Cere Junda is not too unlike Bode, betraying you after helping eliminate all the competition for your bounty. And the story of Scuva Stev, if you take the time to listen, runs strikingly parallel with Cal's, a fisherman who lost himself on a road of revenge before being saved.
You went through a lot. I'm glad you're okay, Scuba.
Oh, thank you, lad.
Thank you. You've given me a lot to think about.
Aye, lad. Go ahead and ponder. But don't ponder your years down the river. There's always another fish.
Friends will come and go. As the Empire arrives in Koboh at the conclusion of Jedi Survivor, a lot of the friends you made will certainly bid a sad farewell. The bridges we build can crumble, and we'll feel hopeless when they do. But there will always be someone who needs us as much as we need them. And by standing by one another and sharing our burdens, hope survives. Through any darkness, through any storm. No one is as alone as they think. Amid a year of record-breaking layoffs in the game industry, it's a message Respawn probably needed to hear as much as their peers, as much as anyone struggling to follow their dreams. I know I did. As a child now stands to lose herself to a darkness of her own, it's a promise Cal will now make. It's what Cere did for him.
Cal, guide her through the darkness.
It's what a Jedi was born to do. Nevertheless, the road leads on. The dark times are only getting darker. The mechanical grip of the Empire squeezes the galaxy ever tighter. Hope for the Jedi's return is as distant as ever. But for now, our hero has a home, and better yet, his friends are here with him. Failure was not the end, and neither was the promised land. For the hero with pain, trauma, and human struggle, the hero's journey has no ending. It only loops over and over and over. Someday it won't, but Cal will not be holding his breath, not until the Force wills it. Until then, I'll find myself drifting through the remains of what once was and what could have been in a galaxy far, far away, dreaming of a day in which there will finally be harmony. Hi everyone, welcome to the end of the video. Here we are once again. Thank you so much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed putting it together. It was a lot of fun to edit, and as always, it's been nice to talk about Star Wars. It's been far too long since our last Star Wars video. Hopefully this isn't the last time we talk about Star Wars this year. I'd be devastated if it was, because there are some big Star Wars videos I want to do later this year, but all in due time, and all in the pipeline of things that are on the way. This video would not have been possible without our wonderful supporters on Patreon, with a special shout out to our tier 3 supporters, Bishop Gaming, Jacob Ember, John Windsor III, Michael, and Matt Hansen, who joined literally hours before I hit the render button on this video, so well played. All Patreon members get early access to the video. At various tiers you get earlier access than others, as well as some other bonuses and goodies like behind the scenes commentary, some making of videos, and a bunch of fun stuff like that, as well as updates on the videos I'm working on. So please consider joining. YouTube is not something I do full time, and if you really love this video and you'd like to see these kinds of videos more often, just as much as I'd like to make them more often, please consider supporting. Even just $1 a month goes a long way. As great and therapeutic as it's been talking about Jedi Survivor, where do we go from here? Well, that's a great question. The next video, let's talk about it just a little bit, is a bit unusual. It's both on something that I probably wouldn't normally make a video about on the channel, and it's being done in a way that I haven't really done previous videos before. This next video, I am actually going to be writing and narrating with a friend of mine. So it is going to be a bit of a standout ArTorr video in that way. I do not think you'll be able to predict what it is, but do stay tuned. I'll be announcing the new video in 2 weeks on, I think it's April 7th. No, not April 7th, April 8th. There we go, April 8th. That's when I'll be announcing the new video, so come back here. You'll find out for sure. In the meantime, I think by the time this is up on YouTube, there should be a new playlist on my channel that contains all of my podcast appearances. It's a very random thing, but I figured I'd do it. I've been on, I want to say, more than a dozen podcasts in the last 2 or 3 years of having ArTorr. So I decided to make a playlist on my channel where you can watch all of them. People have interviewed me in a variety of ways. I've talked about Star Wars a number of times with folks like the Star Wars Exchange. And then I think by the time, again, this is up, there should be some pretty recent podcast appearances I was on. So go check that out. If you want more content from me, or just like the sound of my voice, or, you know, you want to support some other creators who are really cool. Otherwise, you can follow me on Twitch. I'm trying to get back to streaming. It's hard. Time is not very forgiving right now, but I'm trying. So twitch.tv/Sator. You can follow me on Twitter @ParksHarmon, on Instagram as ParksHarmon, and stay tuned for what comes next. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Love all y'all. Peace out. Bye-bye.